X-Men Apocalypse review. I got to watch this thing today. I went in with medium expectations and came out pleasantly surprised. I had a really good time watching this movie. It doesn't take me, I'm a very optimistic movie watcher, if you haven't been able to tell so far. I was one of the people that liked Batman vs. Superman coming out of it. That being said, this is not a Batman vs. Superman. This had a couple little weird things in it. But if you're an X-Men fan, I think you're going to love this movie. It does everything right that it possibly can. There's a couple little weird mechanical things in the background during production, I guess, that bugged me. But as far as the movie and the story, worked for me. They nailed the Scott and Jean young love thing, right? Oh man, it was great. You see this kind of angsty young teenage boy, right, and this too mature for her age Jean Grey, and they're kind of, it's great. So I'm not going to spoil anything in this, just in case you're wondering. I had a really good time in this movie. McAvoy and Fassbender act the hell out of this film. Jennifer Lawrence did fine. Well, there's some hate on her about her. She mailed this thing in, but it was fine. I thought it was okay. Now, this is the third movie in the new trilogy for the X-Men series. Or you had X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, and now X-Men Apocalypse. Last time we had a trilogy of X-Men movies, it ended with a giant stink bomb. It was terrible, but I hate that movie because they killed off Cyclops and Professor X. Like, what the hell are you doing? And it was all about Wolverine. X2 was all about Wolverine. This one was all about, dude, I'm burnt out on Wolverine. Okay, so that's probably why I like First Class as much as I did. Although Banshee catching the guy, whatever. X-Men, and then this Days of Future Past. It was really good. I love seeing everybody. Had a hell of a payoff at the end, getting to see the old crew again. That was nice. This movie really nails it home. It gives you some cool stuff that you haven't seen before. Plenty of stuff you haven't seen before. Archangel was cool to see. Not as cool as it could have been, sure. And there was a scene where Magneto is levitating, and I don't know what it was, but he was like just looked awkward. I mean, it looked weird. I don't know what the deal was with that, but there was another flying scene where it just looked like they didn't try too hard on that flying scene. But whatever. So, there were, the last 20 minutes of this movie, I had goosebumps rolling throughout me. I was getting teary-eyed because I was just so damn happy that I was seeing the stuff on the screen that I was actually seeing. I'm a huge X-Men fan. Always loved X-Men. But X-Men is a team experience. You're watching and reading about a team. You get your individual stories, but you get them all together. So it really takes someone that can tell that kind of a story and put it on screen and keep it entertaining and not focus so much on one person. I mean, if anybody, maybe a Professor X, but even still, he's part of the team. It's not Professor X and the X-Men. Not really. So when they did the old movies in X2 and then the X3 was all about Wolverine, and I was like, what are you doing, man? Wolverine is like this little thorn in people's sides. What the hell is happening? So this movie really drove it home. Great movie to stop the series on, to make a trilogy. There is talk that they're going to do the fourth one. I hope this makes a ton of money, so they will, and it takes place in the 90s. This one is sort of a period piece, takes place in the 80s. Funny thing about that is, I knew that going into this movie. You can kind of tell that the dress is a little different. I think you can tell that, right? And the Days of Future Past was 70s. But I guess somewhere along the lines I forgot that it was in the 80s. Because costumes come into play and then other stuff. But I forgot, right? So then there's a scene, not to spoil anything, but there's a scene where Jennifer Lawrence is wearing this, what do you call it? Acid washed, I think's what it was. Whatever, I don't know. I grew up in the 80s, but I can't remember. Acid wash jean jacket. She's got huge blonde, poofy, curly hair. This white shirt, and she looked strange to me, and I couldn't place it. And I'm like, there's something, I don't know, there's something about this. And then about 5-10 minutes into the scene of things that's happening, it dawns on me, and I'm like, aha, 80s. That's what it is. And then all of a sudden, I just remembered all the Cyndi Lauper hippie 80s stuff, the clothing and everything, and it made me so happy to see it. I was like, this is perfect. That looks great. And then it all dawned on me. And then the next time I saw Scott, he had on like this Miami Vice get up. And I was just cracking up. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Great. Nightcrawler's in this movie. Beast is in this movie. You got Psylocke, Jubilee. There's a scene that I will throw out here that just made me so happy. There was a scene where they were getting a little stir crazy in the house, and Scott said to Nightcrawler, Jubilee, and Jean, said, hey, let's get out of this place. Let's go to the mall. And then Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, he says, what's a mall? And then there's this funny little teenage from different places around the world situation where he's like, what's a mall? You never been to a mall? Oh, it's my American duty. And I was like, oh my God, are we going to see like 10 minutes, a 10-minute scene of the X-Men hanging out at the mall and chilling as teenagers? I would have been cool with that. It doesn't happen, but it's implied. So I can just, in my imagination, I can just visit that moment because I'm like, that's what we're missing. That's what the comics and the old 90s cartoon show would do really well. You'd have Jubilee walking around the mall or something, shopping, and then some stuff would happen and everything would go crazy, right? In fact, I think that might be how episode 1 of the 90s series starts. I think it is Jubilee walking in a mall whenever the Sentinels attack or something. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right. So Apocalypse could be better. It didn't really take me out of it the way he looked. It's really not that big a deal. You get a pleasant surprise. You get, well, I guess you've seen the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, you know Wolverine is in this thing. So the way he's presented in this is a hell of a special surprise. Cyclops being in this thing just made me so happy. He doesn't die. He's a kid. He becomes the leader of the X-Men. You see them kind of working that angle that he's very powerful, I guess. I mean, they may have overplayed that a little bit, but he's very powerful. Jean is very powerful and scary. You get to see some cool stuff with her. It makes me happy. Really sets it up for the next film that I really hope is going to be made. Fingers crossed. Everyone go see this movie so they have enough money to make another one. And then it will be set in the 90s if they're going to make it. So, man, that would be full circle. It'd be great. I'm not sure who the bad guy would be, but we don't need like a big, massive world-ending event going on in the next movie. It could just be something simple. I guess Magneto and them going back and forth over something. I don't know. They play the misunderstood card very well, where these are outsiders. People view them as different. They're angry. They're hostile because they don't understand it. And they really kind of play that card of people fear what they don't understand. That's even relevant today and things that we've got going on with this transgendered bathroom nonsense and all this other stuff. I think it hits home. It's always been relevant since way back when X-Men was first started in comics and then the cartoons and movies of just groups of people that are misunderstood. And it really hits home. I feel for these people. And it's interesting because this movie does a very good job of painting a picture of both sides, where you can see the Brotherhood of Mutants, sort of the evil mutants. They're not in this movie, but that side of it, like why mutants should just put their foot down and take a stand, right? But then you see Professor X, he's just so hopelessly optimistic that they can cohabitate on this planet together. And you want him to be right, but yet I lean more towards Magneto's side. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't think they're ever going to accept you. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to kill everybody? No. So that's where he kind of falls off there, and I can't really stick around for that. But, man, this movie was so much fun. I can't wait to watch it a couple more times. Professor X is cool. There's good humor in it. Moira comes back from First Class, which Devontae had forgotten all about. So if you're going to go watch this movie, maybe go ahead and sit down and watch X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past before you see this. I don't know that it's super necessary because they do drop a lot of little flashbacks in this movie to remind you of certain things that if you've ever seen the movies, I think it does an okay job of just filling you in real quick. So take your kids to see it. There were some scenes where Devontae's kid went with us and he was covering his eyes in a couple spots. I think it was just the Wolverine stuff, which was great. Kind of a good build-up for what might be our rated R last Wolverine movie that will come out in a couple years. So that's cool. You want to take your kids to see that one. This one, it'll get by. So yeah. Think of anything else I need to lay down. Special effects are cool. The powers are cool. Quicksilver. If you loved Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, with the real fun little super speed sequence where he's doing a bunch of cool stuff, there's another one of those in this movie that is, probably better than that one. So with that on top of all these moments that just are little throwbacks to the comics or things that they messed up in the old movies or didn't do quite right, they just nail it with this. These are my X-Men. In this movie, these are my X-Men. The ones that I grew up loving, everything about them, their interactions, their relationships. This is them right here. So if the next one, if this one does really well, which I hope it does, and then they do another one which does even better, and they'll start to get on a roll. That's my hope. Now, I mean, I don't know. I think I saw on Rotten Tomatoes this had like 51% from critics, which isn't great. But again, coming from a guy that liked the Batman versus Superman stuff, just because I got to see it, and you get to see some stuff in this film where I've never seen on screen before. One, you got great characters, really good actors playing these parts. It gives me hope of what is to come. Just like Batman vs. Superman, I'm hopeful for what might come. This one's the same way. I want to see more Scott. I want to see an entire movie just about Scott and Jean. Give me a little love story, mutant love story about them growing up, learning their powers, and dating and whatever. I would watch that movie. Give me a movie like that, I would watch it. That's because I'm a sucker. I know I was giggling throughout the whole thing whenever those two were interacting. I'm just like, oh. So there's great fight scenes between mutants in here. I think you guys are going to like it. So with that said, that's my non-spoilers review for X-Men Apocalypse. So I'm going to go watch this a couple more times, and then I'll throw up on Twitter that whether or not I still think it's awesome, where it ranks right now. Because, it's like Days of Future Past was my number 2. So X-Men from 2000 was my number 1. And then Days of Future Past 2, First Class 3, right? And that's as far as I'm going to go. This one's going to probably shake that up for me because it was so good. So we'll see after I see it a couple more times. I'll kind of put my foot down and I'll do a top 5 X-Men movies or something here before too long, and get that roll. So if you guys want to follow me, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Sithlord, which I'll throw on here. Shoot me a message if you have different opinions on this movie or questions about what I was talking about. Hit me up. I'm pretty good at responding. And then if you guys have, let me know what you think. If you watch this, let me know what your opinion is on it, because I'm really curious what the overall hardcore X-Men fan base is going to think about this movie, aside from how Apocalypse looks or whatever. But how'd you feel about it? Do you want to see another one? Are you in love with this cast as much as I am? Let me know. Comment down in the comment section below. Subscribe to this channel, like the video, and we'll see you next time when I do another movie review. So thanks for watching.